So it is December 1st and Bitcoin had a massive, strong, green bullish close for the month of November. The charts are simply incredibly bullish on the higher time frame. And in this video, I want to reveal to you the next likely targets, in my opinion, what we can expect over this next month of December, but also over the next few months going into 2024. So grab yourself your favorite beverage, sit down, because this is something that can really help you navigate these market cycles and potentially the next major crypto bull market, which I think there is a very decent chance that we are just going to see that in the next 6 to 12 months. If you're new here to the channel or to my page, just simply click down below, smash the like button and follow for more updates. So you can see over here, Bitcoin is trading at 38,200 as I'm making this. This is absolutely awesome because just 1 year ago, at the end of November of 2022, we just had the FTX exchange collapse. Can you believe that was only a year ago? It feels like way, way longer, but literally just a year ago in November 2022, it felt like everything was burning. Bitcoin was below $17,000, so it's up more than 2x since a year ago. So if you bought that fear and that panic 1 year ago, you would be up more than 100%. Congratulations. That is always the key, right? You want to buy the fear. You want to buy the panic. When nobody's interested, that's when you want to accumulate. And by the time it gets all euphoric again, when everyone is talking about it, when it's all over the media, all over social media, your friends, your family, your Uber driver is talking about Bitcoin and crypto, that is usually the opposite warning sign of time to sell, time to take profits, and time to get out of the market. Always do the opposite of what the masses do when it comes to investing. And in general, that is a really good way to go about it. All right, so let me start with this. The monthly returns, you can see over here, Bitcoin closed in November for 8.81%. And now we're going into December, which generally is also green. If you can recall, if you were watching me or following me back in the time, I said that in September, we didn't have many green Septembers, right? We had this one in 2015 and in 2016. And I said, if we get that green September, look what happened here. We were followed by 3 green monthly closes, right? So we had that here and we had that here. Now, what we had is all red Septembers all the way going up to this year. This year we had the first green September in 6 years. And that same pattern is so far playing out. We've had a green September and we had a green October, green November. So if this pattern plays out, we're looking at potentially a green December here once again. And as you'll see in the charts that I'm about to show you, that does look like a possibility there too. Looking at the quarterly returns over here in Q4, we are so far at 40%, 40.85. We will only know this at the end of December. So when the monthly close this month, at the end of December, it will also be the quarterly close. But you can see in general, Q4 tends to be green, right? There's a more green than there is red. And so far, that does seem to repeat. So hopefully we're looking at a complete green Q4 close and then another nice green Q1 that might line up with potential ETF approvals. Okay, so here is the monthly candle chart for Bitcoin. Before I go into analyzing this and sharing my thoughts on what could lie ahead for the month, I want to take a look at last month because I make these videos on the first of every month just as a kind of track record, as a journal to show you these monthly predictions. And I want to show you here what I said on November 1st. If you are bearish still at this point, I don't know what you are basing that on. If you're following the charts, all the signs here are bull, okay? And I shared that last month already when we reclaimed the 3-day 50 MA with 2 consecutive closes above it. That's simply a long-term bull signal. We reclaimed the 200-week moving average, which you will see in a second. That is also a long-term bull signal. We are above the 50 MA. We've got a massive, strong green candle here. And sure, while we can still get pullbacks, of course, right? It can still drop maybe even a couple $1,000s intra-month, intra-week. Sure, but this trend is up. This trend is bullish, and it has been since January of this year. And what we have ahead of us is potentially an ETF approval. Again, Bloomberg analysts are saying 90% approval prediction for the spot ETF. If that happens, there's probably going to be multiple that are going to be approved, and that could potentially happen within the next few weeks or the next few months. Then, on top of that, we have had 2 years of bear market, 2 years of downward price action. We got a lot of all the garbage that was flushed out. Exchanges went bankrupt, protocols went under, fraud was revealed. Okay, and that is behind us. We've had 2 years of downward price action, sideways movement, accumulation. which means the 4-year cycle could be in play. And of course, we have the Bitcoin halving in April. So there were a ton of bullish factors here for crypto. The charts are showing it fundamentally cycle-wise, and this is just looking promising. So, I'm bullish here until we get invalidation of these high time frame signals. Okay, so basically the main point of last month's prediction was also, like I said, if you are bearish, what are you basing that on? And that has remained true. So price was around 34,000 when I made that video. Right now we're at 38,000. Again, I will say the same thing. If you are bearish, what are you basing it on? Because this chart looks bullish. Okay, there's nothing bearish about this chart. Look at this. We have had 3 massive green monthly candles. We're in a bullish trend. We're making higher highs. We're making higher lows. We're above all the key moving averages, above the 50 here on monthly, above the 50 and 200 on weekly. I'll show you in a second. And this trend is simply bullish. So I don't know why anyone is bearish on this. The trend is bullish, and in my opinion, you should be long until invalidation. And that invalidation comes when we get a close back below, for example, the 50-week moving average, which I'll show you in a second. The target still here is what I said in the last video. These highs, Fibonacci golden pocket, so between 48 and 53,000. And how long it's going to take to get there, ultimately we'll only see in hindsight. I do suspect it'll probably take like 2 to 3 months just based on the velocity of how the trend's been going. But of course, anything is possible. I mean, if we see an ETF approved, maybe we get a green candle like this, and maybe we see a massive green candle and we hit that in January. It's completely possible, especially if you look at what happened in the 2020 run-up. Look at this, 6 massive green consecutive months where we went from 10,000 to 65,000 in a matter of 6 months. So if you think we can't go from 38,000 to 100,000 in the next 6 months, that's obviously not true, because you can see this price action has happened. It all obviously is going to depend, is it going to happen or not? But the possibility, the potential is there. It can move in this way. So if all the factors align, if all the stars align, the dollar index continues lower, if we get an ETF approved, if we don't get a rate cut yet, all of those factors are kind of aligning for that perfect push up, I think we can see a massive run. And then the key is going to be, what is going to happen if it gets here? Does it reject and come back down? Or do we flip this, like hang around here a little bit and just continue to the all-time high and beyond? It can happen very quickly. Like I've explained, that the factors all align. If we do get this push, if we get the ETFs, there's literally tens of billions of dollars that could flow into these markets through these ETFs if they get approved. So the earlier in the year they get approved, the more likely it is the money flows in while the conditions are still kind of okay. Because my criteria is still here for a danger sign for a potential top is when we get our first rate cut by the Federal Reserve, by the Fed, because previously in 2001 and 2008, that has led to the global financial market crashes. So they are projecting a first rate cut somewhere in the middle. So Q2 or Q3 of next year, we're going to have to wait and see as we get closer to the time. We'll probably get more certainty on when it's likely to happen. For now, that's kind of the guess. So that is why I'm still leaning towards up only for the next 6 to 9 to maybe 12 months. And we can get a massive bull market. And obviously that would be in crypto, but also probably in stocks. We'd probably see gold go higher. We'd probably see Forex pairs against the US dollar go higher, and this is likely, very likely going to be combined with the dollar index going all the way back down sub 100, maybe even sub 90 on the index, because it's an inverse correlation. I made that video, that was the last video before this one on the channel actually, so you can go have a look there if you want, because as the dollar index goes down, crypto goes up, and that is what we're looking for. So obviously here on the chart also the red vertical lines are the previous Bitcoin halving. So in July 2016, May 2020, and the next one is coming up in April of next year. And you can see what happened to the price. Massive bull market after the halving. Massive bull market after the halving. And we are grinding up. So imagine we are at this Fib golden pocket by the time of the halving, say around 48 to 53K. And by April, then maybe we see like 3 to 6 months of just up only, and then it peaks and then it comes all the way back down. Something like that is possible. How high it's going to be, we don't know, right? It's very hard to make any kind of predictions based on the parabolic tops. Maybe somewhere around 100,000, maybe just over 100,000. I'm always skeptical of these predictions, you know, like 300, 500,000, $1 million. Maybe one day eventually it gets there, but I don't think that's anything to aim for. I think if we hit $100,000 in the cycle already, that would already be incredible. And maybe at that point, it probably gets some momentum. So it's either just going to stop shy of 100,000 and then drop, or it's going to go a little bit past that 120, 130, 140 as that euphoria kicks in and everyone just FOMOs in. So big picture, that is what I'm looking for here for the next 6 months or so. Let's see how it continues to play out. Okay, so now let's talk about invalidation, because there is always the possibility that it reverses. At some point it stops. But we have to follow the charts, we follow the trends, which means that as long as the higher time frame, the monthly, the weekly, the 3-day chart, as long as they are bullish, the trend is bullish, and we have to play the upside and not look for shorts. But if that reverses, we have to flip our bias, and that is what I call invalidation, right? When we're talking about, okay, we're long until invalidation, that invalidation basically means, for me here, as long as we are above the 200-week moving average in red and the 50 moving average in blue, we are bullish and the trend stays bullish, and that means the strategy is on any type of pullbacks to buy the dip because it just keeps going higher. That is what the bullish trend does. Okay, so you don't want to be looking for shorts. However, if somehow this comes down and we get back below these key moving averages, at this point we flip the bias, it's no longer bullish, and we start looking for potential shorts below there. Okay, so that is a very simple strategy on the higher time frame. That is what we're looking for. So right now you can see we're above both the 200 and above the 50 weekly moving averages. And when that happens, you can see over here, you can see over here, you can see over here, up, up, and up. Okay, we are full-blown bull territory at this point. So again, I'm saying there's absolutely zero technical reason on the higher time frames to be bearish at this point in time. And a very interesting thing here is going to be, you can see we are going to get another golden cross here on the weekly, probably at some point in January, where as long as the price here is above the moving averages, this continues to go. And when we get that cross, obviously this was a death cross on weekly. A lot of people got scared about that. It ended up not really meaning anything. And if this reverses again here, I mean, we're still looking at that scenario that I just described on the monthly chart. A quick look at the 3-day chart, because this is also a nice high time frame chart. It is obviously less than the weekly chart. So the reason why I like the 3-day is because it's kind of a sweet spot in between the weekly chart that takes a lot longer to give any sort of signal versus the daily chart that is maybe a little bit too quick and sometimes gives false signals. So that 3-day chart is just the sweet spot between those two time frames that gives you reasonably fast signal in terms of trend reversal and direction, but also doesn't give too many false signals, which makes it really nice and kind of gives you better entries and exits, or more optimal entries and exits. So you can see over here, the key thing is the 3-day 50 moving average here in blue. And as long as we're above there, we are in full-blown bull. So if we get back below that, that's a warning, okay? And that's currently about 30,000. As long as we're above $30,000 on Bitcoin, the trend is bull. Get below there and things start to get more difficult. You can see over here it got below, over here it got below, over here, over here. So basically getting below the 3-day 50 moving average is a major warning sign of potential ending of the bullish trend and a reversal to bearish. Until then though, being above it is simply full-blown bullish, and we are looking for upside. And if we do get it, any retest of the 3-day 50 moving average, as you can see over here, as you can see over here, as you can see over here, they are simply bullish. So if somehow we do get a correction, which we will at some point, I don't know when, I don't know if it's this month or in January or in February, at some point we're going to get several $1,000s as a pullback, and people are going to get scared, and you're going to see all the YouTubers saying, oh, the bull trend is over, blah, blah, blah. But we will get those corrections in the uptrend. Even here in 2020, you can see we went from 42,000 to 30,000. That's a big drop. That's a more than 25% drop. And that is scary because you don't know how long it's going to continue. But then it just continued and rocketed higher. So at some point, it's completely possible for us to drop $5,000 or maybe even $10,000 in a period of less than a month, sometimes a few weeks, and then just continue back higher. So keep that in mind. Be careful with your leverage, of course, manage your risk. But in general, the trend is up, and I'm looking for higher and potentially a full-blown bull market in the next 6 to 9 months, where we're looking at new all-time highs in Bitcoin. Now, the video is already getting a bit long, so I'm going to keep it real quick. I just want to run you through the Ethereum charts. Basically, we keep an eye on Bitcoin because what Bitcoin does, the rest of the market is going to do. If Bitcoin continues going higher, eventually Ethereum is going to catch up, and all of the altcoins are also going to go a lot higher, which is why I focus my analysis mostly on Bitcoin, because it is simply the leader of the crypto space. But let's take a quick look at Ethereum, which is currently trading at $2,091. This is the 3-day chart, and as you can see, it is above both the 50 and the 200 moving average, which is again simply bullish. You can also see over here on the weekly chart, we could say this is potentially a wedge over here. Now, I'm not a fan of triangles and wedges for analysis purposes, but they do tend to work well in bullish environments in the crypto space. So if we have this and we're saying, oh, this is going to be a bullish pattern that breaks out, and the target would then technically be the length of the opening of the wedge. And then you can see, if we line that up with what is likely the target anyway, what I always do for the analysis is the fib golden pocket for the entire bear market. And as you can see, that lines up perfectly with the target. It would probably actually be this high. So somewhere between 3,300 and 3,600 for ETH. Obviously, if we get that continuation on Bitcoin, this would likely be the play on Ethereum. And you can see percentage-wise, that would be bigger on ETH than it would on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is 38. So from 38 to 48 is not the same percentage as it is from 2,100 to say 3,500. Okay, so Ethereum obviously outperforms because it's a smaller market cap. That's always been the relationship between the two. And obviously, if Bitcoin and Ethereum do these kind of moves, then we're looking at altcoins potentially doing a lot bigger multiples simply because they are smaller market caps. But remember, we tend to see Bitcoin make major moves first. All the money flows into Bitcoin, and Ethereum and altcoins lag a little bit behind because all the liquidity is just going into Bitcoin, and that is where the play is. But then as Bitcoin goes higher, the risk reward becomes worse for Bitcoin. Like after it moves up, what is the chance that it's going to continue a lot higher? So then it becomes unfavorable to start buying Bitcoin, and new money starts to look at Ethereum and lower cap coins that still have potential to move higher. On top of that, once Bitcoin moves enough, the people that were in Bitcoin early enough, they've already made big profits. So they start taking profits in Bitcoin and they start rolling that over into Ethereum and other altcoins. And that is when we really start to see the crazy bull market euphoria, where these altcoins start pumping 5x, 10x in short periods of time. And the altcoins always tend to pump, or at least historically, towards the later end of the cycle. So we have Bitcoin move first, then we have Ethereum, and towards the end of the bull market, we only start to see the altcoins move. So there is still plenty of opportunity, in my opinion, in altcoins. Even if you feel, oh, Bitcoin's already moved at 38,000, you know, there's maybe still 2 or 3x potential upside in Bitcoin, which obviously is nice, but there's 10, 20, 30, 50x upside, maybe even more than that in the lower cap coins, if you play that right.